So normally the bones in our spine are a nice rectangular shape. When they lose their strength, they can press down on themselves and they become either flattened or even like a wedge of cheese. What this does is sort of shorten the trunk of the body and leads to, and it can be quite excessive height loss. So people can lose 6 inches, a foot in height because of this shortening of the trunk. Also what can happen is that the spine can then become curved, can tip forward, and a marked bend in the spine is often referred to as a kyphosis. That's the medical expression. And it's these changes in the spine that obviously have an enormous impact on the way people feel about themselves. So it's not everybody. Some people don't get a marked change and some people don't feel bad about it. But there are others, certainly, who ring us at the charity who are very distressed about these changes in body shape. So this can have an impact on a practical level. People can't find clothes that fit because they've changed in shape. But emotionally, it can be quite distressing because people just notice that they're looking different. They've lost height. People comment on the fact that their back's curved. People often say they catch a glimpse of themselves in a mirror or reflection in a window, and they can see that they look like a different person. So that in itself can be quite distressing. On a deeper level, I think it's quite a difficult one, this whole thing about changes in the spine, curvature of the spine. So there is a general negativity around getting older. So we hear about strokes, dementia, the pressure on the health service, the burden of osteoporotic fractures. So there's this whole negativity anyway. And I think this is at a subconscious level, but I think people are thinking about getting older, not feeling good about it anyway. And I think also we're being persuaded all the time, to take this product which changes our hair back to the colour it was, take this product, take our skin back to where it was. I think there's a lot of things going on culturally which have an impact. And I also think that at the far end of this negative continuum, we have the idea of the stereotypical old person who's like a sort of old crone, almost a witch figure who's very, very curved with a stick, something that we hear about in fairy tales. And I think that maybe has something to do with this very poor image we have of the change in the spinal shape. So not only are people dealing with the practical problems, but they're thinking, I'm turning into this stereotype of an old person, and it's not a good image to have. So I think it's quite a complex emotional picture.
Okay, well what we did was we created a mock advertising campaign, and the first study that I did actually looked at using female models or women in advertisements. So we created a series of ads, and in one ad that featured the traditional models that we commonly see, so the very thin models, and then in another advertisement it was the plus size models, or what I like to call average size models. And we showed a large group of men and women, young men and women in Australia. There was about 500 to 600 of them, and they saw the different advertisements and they rated how effective they thought the ads were, because that's something that we often hear from the fashion industry and some people involved in the media and advertising. Not everyone, but a common argument is, well, we're not going to use more average size models because they don't sell products. Everybody wants to see thin models. So we actually asked people what they thought about the ads, how likely they would be to purchase the product, whether they responded positively to the brand, and then we also measured their body image in terms of how they felt about their own appearance and bodies after looking at the ads. And perhaps not surprisingly, we found that when both men and women looked at images of the more average size female models, they felt better about their own bodies. But really interestingly was that both men and women thought the average size models were just as effective as seeing the thin models, which kind of contradicts the argument that we always hear. So what it suggests is that you can use more average size female models and still produce really effective advertisements, but they're actually healthy and make people feel better about themselves. And we also did a very similar study looking at male models. So as I said, you commonly see very muscular models. So we looked at more average size guys who had a slim build or a larger build and perhaps weren't so toned and muscular. And we found the same results. Both the men and women felt better about themselves looking at the average size guys. And they also thought the advertisements featuring the average size models were just as effective as the muscular models.
I think airbrushing is wrong. I would say working in some industries like fashion, there is definitely a expectation to look your best. So yeah, there's certain industries where the image is very important, and then it plays a kind of role in what you're doing. So
unrealistic. Fake. It's quite sad that people have to be brushed over their natural qualities. Why not be natural?
I think with airbrushing it needs to be a balance really. So there can be some airbrushing to kind of like tidy up a picture, but maybe not to the extent that they are looking completely different or they're really dramatically changing the shape of someone's body, because we are all different.
We want to see cellulite, we want to see back skin.
Yes, it's true, it's real to life, girls, you're going to have it at some stage.
Yeah, exactly. Why brush it out?
But I also understand that some airbrushing is needed in the industry to sort of really make the clothes pop, or you know, things like that. So it's about that balance really, as in many things in life. It's, you know,
Go for real!
Because I hadn't had a bone density scan for a while, I hadn't actually had a bone density scan at a normal weight for a long time. I've had my periods back now for about a year and a half, and I know that having my period does really help to rebuild the bones. I'm also really good about having calcium and have been running a lot, so that helps to rebuild your bone, because any sort of weight-bearing exercise can help. So I felt that it was a good time to have a bone density scan and see whether things had changed at all. And I got the results back last week to say that the bone density in my spine has improved by 13%, which I was really surprised about, because I didn't start recovering until my late 20s. I'm now 31, and I thought that maybe I wouldn't rebuild any bone. So I'm really pleased that I have, and it's made me feel more positive about the future and probably more confident about getting out there and doing stuff and being active. If you look around you, there are people who are happy at any weight and shape, and so it's not usually about that. It's just really important to be healthy, and actually getting to a point where you're underweight means that you're cold and you're miserable and you don't have any energy to do anything, and that you're not going to have fun and enjoy yourself. There's no point in being thin and having to sit at home all the time because you don't have the energy to get out there and do anything. I think the main thing is just to be healthy and to be happy and try not to worry about what other people are doing. I think so many of us compare ourselves to other people, and yeah, there are some girls who are naturally thin and can eat whatever they like, and great for them, but there are some of us who aren't. But you need to find your own healthy body weight and shape and your own healthy, happy way of being.